You want to. You want to be healthy. You want to exercise. But the steps to get to that point, it seems overwhelming. And how in the world do you even try to exercise, be active when you are constantly on the go with your kids, preventing them from swallowing something or getting into something or just trying to work through a sensory meltdown? Well, today I have guest Sarah Stein to give you the smallest steps to help you begin being active and making exercise a daily part of your life.
Hey friend, do the daily demands of family life leave little time for self-care? Are you losing yourself in the process of caring for others? Are you ready to make self-care and healthy boundaries a natural part of your day while embracing your roles as a wife and mom? Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 17 years to a neurodiverse man, mom of 3 neurodiverse kids, and many more roles. Welcome to the Moms and Neurodiverse Families podcast. Get ready to begin your self-care journey. Grab your planner and listen in as we take another small step towards a peaceful, healthier you.
Well, welcome everyone. I am very excited for today. I have a guest, a special guest. Her name is Sarah Stein, and she has so much experience in the human services world and also with working with neurodiversity, but also her special experience is in physical fitness, being a former group fitness and cycle instructor. And I am glad to have her along today to share with us what we can do if we are wanting to make activity, exercise, or health a part of our life. So, Sarah, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hey everyone, I absolutely love working out. Now, don't picture me as some ripped, six pack, super strong person. I'm not. I'm just like you, and I am just like everybody else. But I love working out, feeling strong, and putting myself really to the test and pushing my boundaries of what I think I can do. I have many years working out and doing exercise through a club near my home. And I was so passionate about it that I actually thought, hey, why not go ahead and get my group fitness certification and my cycle certification so that I could actually become an instructor at the club where I worked out, and did that for several years. And so have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge and experience under my belt that I'm happy to share with you.
Now, Sarah, we've had many conversations about being physical fit and active. And can you share with the audience, our friends here, what before you started working out, what was your normal activity level within a week? Like how active were you? And then how did that change once you began this new addition to your lifestyle?
Before I really got into the world of going to the club, I would say that my normal routine might be to go on a walk around my neighborhood 2 times a week. Maybe pull out my bike. I live in Minnesota, so we can only do that for so much time of the year. It was very minimal what I was doing for exercise before I really got going.
Like where you're at now, and obviously like friends, we're not saying this is where you need to be at, but just to give an example of what where Sarah was at and where she's at now, where are you at now with your activity level, with your exercise?
I would say I am working out about 5 to 6 days a week. Now, that will depend on my real job, my real career, and whether I'm traveling or whether I'm busy speaking at conferences or teaching classes. I can't always get to the club, but when I can, I do a variety of classes. I do things from cardio and strength building classes to cycle classes to yoga. I'll work out on my own if I am just peopled out and just need quiet moment on a treadmill. I'll do that as well. So I try to stay pretty physically active as much as I can throughout the week.
Now, Sarah, in your real-time job,
Hmm.
You are very experienced over 20 some years, maybe even
Yes.
25 years in the human service field, specifically working with people with many different abilities, but also you're very aware of neurodiversity with
Hmm.
autism and ADHD and all the different options that are there. Friends, I want you to hear this because when Sarah's talking, she understands the limitations and
Hmm.
the challenges that you are faced with, and also with the mental health stress there can be in your life at this moment. So let's just talk about
Hmm.
let's just pick someone, Sally. Okay. I mean, if
Okay.
there's a Sally out there, congrats, we're talking about you. But otherwise, let's say Sally, she is married and her spouse is neurodiverse and she has
Hmm.
two kids. Slowly over time, life has just gotten hard for her. She didn't know that her kids are neurodiverse and her husband didn't know. And she is just trying to figure it out. She's just trying to keep the wheels on the car.
Been there.
She is just trying to figure out how to move things forward. And there's a class reunion coming up, and she's looking back in photos and she's realizing, oh my goodness, where I was at 10 years ago and where I'm at now, like there's so much has happened of life. I'm not the same person. Maybe she did sports a little bit in college, or she was in a league of something like a volleyball league, but now she's very, very sedentary. So speak to
Hmm.
Sally. No, she's wanting to do something. She realizes her health is an issue. Like she's not where she wants to be
Hmm.
physically active. Where would Sally start? Like if you were coaching
Yeah.
her, what would you tell her?
First thing I would tell her is to give herself grace. It's so easy for us to see pictures online through social media, to hear all of the stories about how exercise will help your mental health because it releases endorphins. Now, that is true, but speaking to a woman who is in a situation where life stress has just escalated to the point where self-care for herself falls off, those little snippets, those little social media posts, they don't really address underlying concerns. So please give yourself grace. Getting into exercise is not easy, especially if you are someone who hasn't had the time. Your schedule's overwhelming. You don't know how you're going to carve out 2 minutes even to put your contacts in order to work out. So give yourself grace. Know that it takes time. Also, yes, exercise does help with mental health, but it can also contribute to mental health concerns. What do I mean by that? If you're somebody who puts a lot of pressure on yourself, and I'm great friends with Christina, and we've often talked about this, like we have very high expectations of ourselves. If I put too much pressure on myself to, I need to look a certain way, I should be a size 2, I should be active at the club 3 hours a day and still be able to juggle all my family, those are lies. And we cannot believe those lies. We need to give ourselves grace and to start small. Something I would recommend in starting small is starting so small you barely even notice the change. For example, buy a new pair of tennis shoes through Amazon and have it delivered to your house or through whatever store you choose to buy in. That's all you need to do. Day one, buy new shoes. Maybe day two, you wear those shoes around the house. Get used to them on your feet. Day three, you pop your kids into a stroller if you have young ones, and you go for a walk down the block, back up. So you start very, very slow. And in the entire time, thinking about, I'm moving. I mentioned that to Christina before. It doesn't have to be doing a yoga class. It doesn't have to be doing weightlifting. It doesn't need to be super active. It just needs to be moving your body. If you are moving your body, you are exercising. You don't need to lift with weights because guess what? Body weight is still weight that you are moving. So think about that. What can I do simply to move? And start there. New shoes, check. Wear them around the house if that's okay with your family, check. Maybe I stand at the counter and I've got music playing while I'm making supper and I'm swaying my hips back and forth. I'm moving. Okay, going for a walk. And then you can look at increasing intensity or length of how much you're working out. But start at the very beginning, start small.
Oh, I love that. That's a big point you made there was even having the basic equipment to
Hmm.
exercise. And shoes is something that was a great way to place a start because you don't want to be walking
Hmm.
around in ballet shoes on
Flip
your
flops.
walks, flip-flops, exactly. Trying to run
Hmm.
away from a dog chasing after you in
Yep.
flip-flops, not a good idea. Having the right equipment, what would be the progression for someone? So let's say Sally's like,
Hmm.
okay, I listen to Sarah, shoes, check, we're around the house, I'm comfortable with them, check, check.
Hmm.
Now I'm walking. Like, how does she ensure, like, okay, I'm spending time working on this, but I'm not getting stagnant? Because if we look at Instagram, other places, we see
Mm.
these milestones that are like, oh, that person doesn't have kids, or that person doesn't have a neurodiverse family. So, how does she keep things real, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like she's moving in a like increasing like direction? Does that make sense?
Yep, it sure does. One thing that I learned as a fitness instructor and something I always coach people to, if you feel like you've grown stagnant, I always walk at this pace or I lift this amount of weight. There's ways that you can challenge yourself by increasing one or more of these three things. Intensity, so you go harder. Okay, if I'm doing jumping jacks instead of doing side toe touches, jumping jacks, maybe that's where you start. And you're like, yeah, I got this. Now you intensify it. You add the jump, you add a squat jump in the midst of a jumping jack. So you increase intensity. The second one is you increase weight is really important. So if you're doing bicep curls, for example, while you're watching or listening to a podcast, for example, you're doing bicep curls and pretty soon 5 pounds seems easy. Then you go up. You go up to 7.5, you go up to 8 pounds, you go up to 10 pounds, something like that. You change how you do it or you add weight. The third thing, we call it lever length. Lever length. So a great example of this is, let's say you're on your back and you want to work your lower abs. Okay, so picture your lower abs. This is where we grow our babies, everybody. Where the lower abs, especially as we age, tend to, let's just gently refer to it as loosen. And so sometimes it can be very hard to work on those areas. So let's say that you're on your back and you are doing leg drops. So you're on your back, your knees are above your hips, so they're 90 degrees, like a corner. And leg drops are you bring your toes and you touch the ground. And you bring your knees back up, and your toes come down and touch the ground. So it's pretty easy to do. Increasing your lever length would be like, check, I got that. Now I am going to straighten my legs and drop both legs simultaneously. My heels are coming down to the floor. So what you did is that you increased, you took weight away from your body. A bicep curl where your elbows are close to your side is going to be easier than I'm pulling my arms out to the side and now I'm doing bicep curls. So again, intensity, this would be easiest way to remember this is go harder. You take a walk into a jog. You take a jog into a run. The next one is you increase weight, you increase some type of resistance. And then the third one is that lever length. You are in control of your own body. You know what will work and you know what doesn't work. And it might be trial and error. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try something first, see how it goes, and then amplify from there. One thing, Christine, if I can just tell all of your listeners, is the phrase no pain, no gain. I want you to get rid of that phrase because it is a lie. It is a lie. No pain, no gain. Pain is your body's way of screaming at you that something is wrong, right? Emotionally, when we're hurt, we are feeling overwhelmed with our emotions, our mental health, because our body, our brains are telling us something is going on. Same thing with our body. If you feel pain, stop immediately and don't do that. Okay. Discomfort, however, muscle fatigue, muscle aches is absolutely normal. If you have not, for example, done bicep curls before, your biceps are going to feel sore. I've done work so much on my quads before that I've had a hard time going down a flight of stairs where I have to go down sideways because my quads, the front of my legs, hurt so bad. But that's okay. So if you are going, this is really uncomfortable, this is hard, that's probably very normal. But if you're hurting, if you're in pain, don't do it. You need to stop.
That's a great distinction because that can get missed, especially as people are
Hmm.
starting to begin
Yes.
an exercise routine. And I like the
Hmm.
layers that you had. So you said it was intensity you can increase,
Yep.
the leverage, and the second one was
The weight.
the weight, the weight. So that's really good
Hmm.
for people to remember that. So now I'm going to have a couple follow-up questions. Let's
Yep.
say Sally's
Hmm.
like, I can't leave the house. She's
Yep.
like, I would love to work, like that's a goal of mine. Like maybe if I can get the kids in the stroller, but sometimes they're just trying to hit the eject button and
Yep.
get out of the
Hmm.
stroller.
Hmm.
So she's in the house. How
Yep.
would she do a workout at home then if
Hmm.
she's limited to just, and maybe she has stairs, and maybe she doesn't?
Yep. I want you to think about too that everything that you do probably is a form of a workout. Think about laundry. You are picking up a laundry basket that probably weighs 5 to 10 pounds. Okay. You could pick up that laundry basket and do a couple squats. If you're unsure of what a squat is, it is just bringing your tush closer to the floor. It's like you're sitting down in a chair. Picture that. I'm sitting down in the chair with a laundry basket. And you don't go all the way to the floor. If you can't, maybe you just go, I'm going to sit in a high top chair for right now. Those are squats, and you've got resistance as well as weight. You do 5 of them. One thing I always like to joke around about is if you have, the washing machines and dryers that are stacked on top of each other. Okay, so bend down, do a squat, get the clothes out of the washing machine, stand up, put the clothes into the dryer. So what you're doing is a squat with a reach. Stand up, squat, and you're standing and moving forward and putting the weight in. So think about that. Can you do while your kids are learning at the table or they're coloring or whatever? Can you do 3, 4 laps around the table? It might look weird, but that's okay. Your kids might be like, Mom, why are you running around the table? And that's okay. Standing at the counter and you're doing calf raises, which just go up onto your toes and back down. Pretend you're a ballerina. And you're up and you're down and you're working your calves. If you have a wall, do wall push-ups. Sometimes I had to hide in my bathroom. Life was just so stressful with having a kiddo with ADHD and anxiety and husband with ADHD as well, that there would be times I would just be like, I'm gonna hide in my bathroom, maybe cry a little. But then I'm at my counter and I am doing those calf raises, or I am using the counter to balance and stepping back into a lunge, or I'm using the door, not just to keep them out, but also to do those wall push-ups on the door. There's so many things, and we call this functional movement. Functional movement is anything that you would naturally do in your day and turning that actually into some form of an exercise, right?
That's
Lots of things that
golden.
you can do. Hmm.
That is golden, especially when you think about, I mean, I've done that before myself when I'm doing
Hmm.
squats to get stuff out of the wash machine and doing a
Yeah.
reach going up to the dryer and looking
Hmm.
for those moments where, okay, I just took care of the wash machine, but I'm going to do 10 more of those squats and reaches while I'm
Hmm.
here
Hmm.
and finding ways to naturally work that in. And it's a different mindset
It is.
that I hear you're saying is that it's a mindset. So, follow-up question, which I'm kind of
Yep.
guessing the answer in this one is when is the best time to work out? Because the experts have all these answers here. Now, can you give an answer to our friends here who are like, obviously their life is not
Uh-huh. Yep.
regimented or scheduled. So what would you say?
hmm You're going to hear a lot about, well, the ideal time to exercise is in the morning. Wake up and get moving. That's going to give you energy throughout the day. Well, my schedule was not one that could truly accommodate that. Also, I am not a morning bird person. Christina likes to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't. I am, let me sleep in until 8 or 9. So morning doesn't work for me. Early morning does not work for me. It might not work for you, or it might. Maybe it's mid-afternoon, over the lunch hour. It could be in the evening. Anytime, really, any time of the day that you can exercise is worth it. But, underline asterisk the big but here, is that you need to be aware that if you are exercising, I would say within 2 hours, 3 hours of when you would normally go to sleep, try not to do that. Try to avoid that because exercise can actually wake you up. It'll actually get you going, your endorphins going, and it will be harder to calm yourself down. My husband used to play hockey, and he would play at like 9 o'clock at night, just a community league. You'd play at 9 o'clock at night. It would go to about 11. He'd get home and he would not be able to fall asleep until about 2 o'clock in the morning because of all of that adrenaline was still going. Plus, you're hungry and you eat. Now your body's digesting the food that you have eaten afterwards. So find what works for you. Nobody's the same. I used to do mid-morning and now I am early evening, but I also have an older son. We kind of, all three of us in my family kind of go separate ways. And so sometimes we're not eating dinner together. A lot of times we don't actually because one of us is at the club or we're at work or we're traveling or whatever that is. And that's okay for my family. Might not be okay for your family. Maybe sitting down together at dinner is important to you. And if it is, that's not your time to work out. Maybe your kids nap, and you can take 20 minutes, to go do calf raises, lunges in your bathroom. Whatever really truly does work for you. And I have another thought, Christina, about food, if
Hmm.
that's okay. Can I
Yeah,
talk
go
about
ahead.
food? So we know food is fuel. And if you are just starting out, be aware that just because you burn calories in a time of exercise, that doesn't, if you are interested in losing weight, okay, interested in losing weight, if you are exercising, let's say you have a smartwatch and it says, oh, you burn 200 calories. In order to lose weight, you don't eat those calories back. Never starve yourself, okay? Don't deprive yourself, but exercise is not the excuse to eat more. Yay, I did this, so therefore I get a Dairy Queen Blizzard. That's not how that works. So kind of think of that. But also, as you increase in your activity level, your body is going to shift. You might need more protein. So right now, because of the workouts that I do, I'm eating about 100 grams plus, 120 grams of protein per day. I also need carbs because carbs are fuel and they're energy. Doesn't mean I'm eating sugar. I'm a candy lover. I don't eat candy for that sugar. I eat healthy carbs in order to have that. So your diet has to shift just a little bit, but just starting out, don't even worry about your diet. Try not to go, hey, I exercise and now I can eat whatever I want because that actually is almost like self-sabotage of your own
Hmm.
body.
Hmm. Good point. So talk about water now. What about water and exercise
hmm
is important?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be hydrated is so important. You can follow the recommended daily, 64 ounces a day. What I will tell you is that when you are exercising to any level, whether you're starting out or whether you're going intense, you need to keep your body hydrated. You'll swell if you don't. It's uncomfortable. You actually, when you sweat, that is a very, very good thing. It gets rid of your toxins in your body. But also, it really does show like, hey, I am working hard. My heart rate's up. I'm sweating. This is not sauna level sweat here, by the way, but it's actually work. And so you need to replenish the sweat. When you exercise, always have a water bottle with you. We like to joke around at the club that I've got my emotional support water bottle with me to do the classes. As you exercise, you don't have to do a class, right? But you're going on a walk, let's say, bring a water bottle and take sips throughout the day. When you're working hard, do not gulp at your water because you know what that does, Christina? It makes you want to throw up. So any hard exercise, you want to sip at your water unless you really like feeling that feeling, which I doubt you do. So hydrate, try to drink plain water. I know it's boring, so if you need some of those sugar-free mix-ins, that's fine. But a latte uh, doesn't really add to your water intake. Same with wine. Let's face it, I love a good glass of wine a couple times a week. That is not part of my water intake. Okay, so drinking just straight water is good. If you're starting off, you normally do not drink water, you're even shooting for something as low as 30 ounces, and then you increase from there 30, 40, 50, and you go up. I would average of straight right now, I drink about 80 ounces of just water per day. I don't count coffee or my sparkling waters or diet pop, whatever. That's just straight water, and I feel really good. Will you have to go to the bathroom more? Probably, but that's okay too. You get those toxins out of your body by drinking more water.
So you're saying that I can't double fist a water bottle and a latte at the same time when I'm working out?
Yeah, not when you're working out, but any other time, absolutely. We need our coffee. We need our coffee. But yeah, not working out. I see people that they'll have Gatorades or Powerades or some other type of electrolyte type drink. And those are fine, but also consider that those are replenishing electrolytes because you've sweated, you've worked really hard, and you're flushing those out of your system. If you're not working that hard, you might not want to go into the sports drink arena until you kind of increase your exercise just a little bit more.
And that's a good tip, especially when people are trying to save money. So
Yes.
to wrap up, these are all really good, especially people looking to start off. What, as a fitness instructor and
Hmm.
continue being active in fitness, I mean, you've done
Hmm.
cycling, you've
Yep.
done swim, aquatics, so many different areas you have experience in.
Hmm.
What are some of the rookie mistakes you've seen in
Hmm.
class that people have done where you're like, oh no, I need to say something now or right after class because X, Y, and Z is going to happen?
About 45 things just popped into my mind. The first one that I see a lot, whether that was in a class or whether that's observing people in exercise, is they are using equipment they don't understand how to use, and their form is bad. We can actually do more damage to our bodies if our form is bad. So you really want to know that you're doing something right. How do you do a squat right? How do you do a lunge right? How, that kind of thing. So you want to do a little bit of research if you're unfamiliar with those moves. So I see misuse of equipment. I see too much weight for where the person is. If somebody has, again, going back to our bicep curl, if somebody has never done bicep curls and you're going in and you are trying to curl a 15-pound dumbbell, not only are you at risk of tearing your muscle, you could lose your grip. It could slam onto your toe. You could damage your joints. Don't go too heavy too quickly. It is something that you work up to. Start with 3 pounds, start with 5 pounds. Start with grabbing a can of soup even out of your cupboard and doing curls, right? That's what, 14 ounces? Start there. That is a huge mistake that people make. I also see people thinking they should do a particular exercise or that they should do a particular class or have a particular activity level. If you force yourself into doing something that you think you should do, you won't sustain it. You will not continue it. That's humanity. That is how we are. If we don't like something, if our body doesn't like something, it's very likely we won't continue that. So I strongly encourage you, you've heard this before, I bet, find something you like doing. If you do not like going for a walk, don't do it. Maybe you really like that burn of going up and down your stairs. Do that instead. Perhaps you're somebody who rhythm is part of your life, music is a part of your life, then incorporate some type of dance. Could be something silly, it could be something super complex. You know, it really, again, depends, but you need to find something that brings you joy. We are in families that sometimes finding joy often feels elusive. We need to find what brings us joy. And if that means doing burpees, have at it. That is not my joy. Have fun with that one. And so that's a mistake I see people do. They think they need to be able to run a marathon. No, you don't. There's so many things. And again, just moving our body in a way that brings us joy is going to be a huge gift that you give yourself. So I would say those are the three things that are the biggest really red flags that are coming out. Improper use of equipment, and it doesn't have to be machines. It could be a resistance band. It could be dumbbells. So improper use of equipment, too much weight, too soon, body's not ready for it, and doing something they don't enjoy, truly enjoy. That'll be
And
burnout.
I've done all three of those at different times where
Absolutely. We all
yep, you
have.
just think like, oh, everyone else is doing this. I should be doing it too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm not that coordinated. I can't,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this was excellent, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
because I think
Good.
there's so many people who that the mountain before them is so massive and so big, they just
Mm-hmm.
don't even know where to start. It's like that laundry waiting for you Monday morning
Oh,
after
yeah.
a weekend of trips and all the different excursions go happening, and you're like, where do I begin? But the key things I heard was the shoes, like have get a pair of shoes, get your emotional
Good shoes.
support water bottle,
Mm-hmm.
begin there, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, you're doing the cha-cha-cha in your house in the kitchen or you're
Exactly.
going to walk, you're doing those activities
Mm-hmm.
and looking at slightly increasing each week as you move forward. And there's a week you miss because someone's throwing up, you get
I
back on
would
it
say,
again.
yeah, and I'm gonna say maybe not each week because sometimes you need to be at a certain level for months and then increase over time. Maybe though, every week you introduce something slightly new, something slightly different. So you're going on a walk for 20 minutes. Next week, can you go 25 minutes? Or can you um, carry your emotional support water bottle with you while walking? Something as simple as that. Or just something you modify, but you don't have to change what you're doing completely over time because we build, right? We build on everything that we do. We start at one level and we build to the next. Some of us might advance more quickly than others, depends on life stage, right? I have an almost 17-year-old son who drives, has his own job. There, I have more free time than a family that has four little ones, for example. Um, so your pace for a family of many children, for example, might be different than where I am right now. And I think that what we all need to hear as women, as moms, and I'm sure Christina has mentioned this before too, is that stop comparing yourself to anybody else because it only hurts you. No one is watching you. No one is judging you. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just be who you are and start where you are. That's all you can do.
Oh, excellent. Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for being here. We appreciate you. And
Absolutely. Glad to
listeners,
be here.
I hope that this is beneficial to you. If you had any Any comment that Sarah said that made you think, oh my gosh, this makes sense now, please send me a message either on Instagram or Facebook. We would love to hear from you.
Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. If so, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help other women find this show. By the way, if you're loving this conversation and want more encouragement like this, join my email list at bit.ly/myselfcare. That is bit.ly/myselfcare. I have a planner launching soon that will help you put all this into action in your own life. I look forward to chatting with you again next week for another episode.